talk now to James Mills, who is in our Westminster studio for us. He's from the protest group Save EMA, which is the Educational Maintenance Allowance. He has been protesting today. James, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
How does it feel to have been part of a protest when you watch these pictures of the violence and those windows being smashed at Milbank Tower?
Well, to be totally honest with you, 99% of the protest was peaceful. I mean, totally peaceful. And from the EMA sort of side of it, I saw people there from the OAPs, people in the sort of 40s and 50s to teenagers, as well as 20-year-olds protesting very peacefully. There's a minority, but just because there's a tiny minority for everyone else, there's a tiny number of Liberal MPs propping up the Tory Government right now. So put in proportion, the majority of this protest today has been peaceful, and it should be remembered. And if you go to what's at stake here, and I mean, it really is at stake of a lot of people. Over 600,000 poorest teenagers in our country will lose their EMA, their Education Maintenance Allowance, and 4/5 of them will be from households where the annual income is below £21,000 a year. Now, these are the poorest people in our country, and this government are disadvantaged right now, and they're continuing to do it. And David Cameron told me in January in Hammersmith at Save Cameron Direct event that he supported EMAs. Michael Gove went around the country, and only in March, telling that Ed Balls is saying, "I'm going to scrap EMAs, I won't," was his quote to The Guardian. And they've gone on a platform and they've lied successfully over and over again on education maintenance allowances, and they axed them at the CSR. And today you've seen a lot of very scared young people, yes, but a minority of them causing rabble rousers, but they are a minority there. I was there from the beginning, and it's been totally peaceful throughout. There's been a small minority, and it's interesting how the protest has had a lot of negative things to say about the Nick Clegg. They've attacked the CCHQ. That's, I think that probably says the way people view the Liberals now, the Tories. They're very sort of in bed together and conjoined. But I said, it's a small minority.
You obviously have your message. I mean, what this protest is now going to be remembered for is the scenes of those windows being smashed and placards being thrown.
I think it'll only be remembered that way if TV reporters, if the TV channels want to, because 99% of that protest, I mean, overwhelming majority. And I said, if it was such a violent protest, you wouldn't have seen old ladies there. And I'm completely against what happened to her. I think it's abhorrent, and I think my NUS colleagues would say the same. Completely against the scenes you've seen, but you couldn't honestly portray that as the majority of that protest. It was a very small minority. It shouldn't be judged by that. Well, to be totally honest with you, I think if anything, you're seeing what you're seeing today in that protest, sort of almost the voice of the voiceless here. You've seen people who don't feel they have a say anymore, that have voted one way for a government, for Liberal MPs, for example, and have gone completely against that. Our campaign, so if you go to the www.saveema website, .co.uk, you will see people on there who are mothers, lecturers, teachers. I've had Liberal youth people contact me, Tories, young Tories, CF, Conservative Future people contact me saying that on education maintenance alone that they think it's disgraceful and abhorrent, and that's on EMA. If you higher education, when some of these parties, like the Liberals, went around using it as the trump card, and they did that quite successfully, they're going to have a very lot of annoyed young people. I find it abhorrent, but it's not 1968 right now. It's not nowhere on that scale. You've got a very tiny minority causing havoc, but the vast majority were peaceful. And people were dancing, singing, jumping in the streets. It was very uplifting, some parts of it. And I said, I met an old lady today in her 60s, out there campaigning because she's worried about the future of her grandchildren. Now, you won't see that on the TV cameras tonight, but what you will see is a bunch of, hoodlums, to say the least, who cause trouble. Now, that's just not reflective of the broad of most of that campaign. It's just not fair. And I wouldn't say this government's a Liberal government when you've got a tiny minority of Liberal MPs, but if you want to say that, I'm happy with that. But a tiny minority of Liberal MPs are propping up this Tory government and keeping them going to punish the poorest in our society. 600,000.
Save the educational maintenance allowance.
Save EMA. Thank you.